All right, let's get right into it. In some lines of work, a single missed step, even a few hours of delay can cost a fortune. The oil field? It's definitely one of them. So the real question is, how does a team build a system that's pretty much bulletproof, something to master that kind of high-stakes, chaotic world? Well, that's exactly what we're going to break down here.
It really all boils down to this, doesn't it? How do you take something as unpredictable as field services, the sudden calls, the problems that aren't quite clear, the immense pressure, and shape it into a repeatable, precise process that delivers success every single time?
This quote right here, wow, it says it all. There is zero time to waste. The second that phone hangs up, the mission is live, and a super coordinated process just kicks into high gear.
So it all starts with a single phone call. But listen, not all calls are the same. This first point of contact, this is the first shot of chaos into the system, and the team has to be ready to classify it and react, like instantly. So the very first step is to categorize that chaos. And the calls, they really break down into three main types. First, you've got your planned jobs. Maybe get a week or two of notice, the scope is clear. Easy enough. Then you've got the urgent requests. This is when something's broken, production is on the line, and they needed you on site yesterday. And finally, you get the uncertain scopes. The client thinks there's a problem, but they need help just figuring out what it is before you can even think about a solution.
Let's really zero in on one of those urgent ones, because that's where the rubber meets the road. Picture this. It's 8:30 at night. A call comes in. There's a polyline blowout. Water is spilling out, and every single minute that ticks by is a minute of lost production. Not to mention the environmental risk. This is the ultimate test of a team's readiness.
And the response time just shows the system in action. I mean, look at this. The call hits at 8:30 p.m. Just 15 minutes later, a full plan is finalized and locked in. By 9:15 p.m., that's only 45 minutes after the first call, the crew and all the gear are rolling. And the bottom line? Before the sun even comes up, that line is fixed and production is back online. Now that is turning chaos into precision.
So how in the world do they move that fast? It's not magic, believe me. It's a super disciplined planning phase that starts the second that call is answered. This is where they start to wrestle the problem into submission.
This checklist right here is the absolute foundation. It's not just about, getting an address. It's about getting everything in writing so there's no miscommunication. It's about figuring out the real need. Is this a welding job or do we need to trench? They assign a single point of contact so the client isn't getting different stories from different people. And so important, they run safety checks and set crystal clear expectations from that very first conversation.
Let's dig into that safety check for a second, because this is a real game changer. This isn't just some box-ticking exercise. This front-end review happens before a single truck starts rolling. They're checking for site risks, what permits are needed, and they're even reviewing the specific safety orientations for that operator. Doing this first saves hours of delays later and makes sure the crew shows up ready to work and fully compliant. Okay, so with a solid plan locked in, the focus immediately shifts to mobilization. This is where the plan becomes reality, where all that careful prep in the yard is what guarantees you're going to succeed out in the field.
And the level of detail here is it's everything. This isn't some vague note to get the gear. No. For a poly welding and trenching job, there's a specific list. Every single item, from the giant polyfusion machine all the way down to the last shovel and spill kit, is on that list and accounted for. Absolutely nothing is left to chance.
This motto, it just perfectly sums up the whole philosophy, doesn't it? Check twice, roll once. It's simple, but it's incredibly powerful. It means every piece of equipment gets checked against the list before any truck leaves the yard. This simple habit prevents those soul-crushing trips back to the shop for a tool you forgot. So, let's see how this plays out in a real case. An operator calls, gives them 36 hours notice for a big pipe job, 1,200 feet. In just 4 hours, the team has 3 separate trucks on the road, one for the fusion gear, one for the heavy equipment, and one for the crew. And the result? They are on site and actively fusing pipe by 9 a.m. the next morning, way ahead of the curve. So once the crew is on site, fully equipped, totally briefed, the challenge changes. Now it's all about execution. All that planning has to translate into efficient, safe, and importantly, adaptable work in a constantly changing environment. The first thing they do on site isn't firing up the engines. It's a tailgate safety meeting to go over all the hazards and assign roles. Then, they break the job into parallel work streams. This is so smart. They might have one crew trenching while another is already fusing pipe. It makes sure that nobody is just standing around waiting for somebody else to finish up. But of course, you know how it is, right? No plan ever survives contact with reality completely unscathed. Weather moves in, site conditions change. So what happens when some unexpected problem threatens to bring the whole operation to a screeching halt?
Well, this is where adaptability is everything. On one job, a sudden rainstorm just unleashes. Instead of shutting down for the day, they pivot. Crew 1 moves the fusion machine undercover to protect the welds, and Crew 2, they immediately switch gears to a totally different task, laying down matting and dealing with erosion control, which the rain actually made more urgent. The result? This is the important part. 0 hours of productivity were lost to weather. Incredible.
Now, finishing the physical work is one thing, but the job isn't really over yet. This last phase is all about completion, about quality control, and about turning one successful project into a long-term relationship.
Their closeout process is just as structured as their mobilization process. First up, a joint walkthrough with the client to look at every single item and fix anything minor right there on the spot. Then, a professional completion report with photos gets sent over. But step 3, this is what really matters. They actually ask for feedback. Hey, what could we have done better? That shows they're a partner, not just a service provider.
So, what's the end result of this entire system, from start to finish? Well, it's this number, 80%. That's the percentage of their work that comes from repeat clients. That's the ultimate metric, isn't it? It proves the system doesn't just get jobs done, it builds rock-solid trust. So when you look at the whole playbook we just walked through, you realize it isn't just a set of instructions for how to finish a task. It's really a machine for manufacturing trust. Every single step, from that first call to the safety checks to asking for feedback at the very end, it's all designed to show the client that their schedule, their safety, and their success are the absolute top priority. And that really leaves us with one final question to think about. Whether you're in the oil field or a totally different industry, we all face chaos and high-stakes projects. So looking at this system of readiness, precision, and follow-through, what's one piece of this operational playbook that you could apply to turn your own challenges into predictable successes?